Welcome to Story Quest. Today, I will be reading Little Woman. The 1st of June. The Kings are off to the seashore tomorrow, and I'm free. 3 months vacation. How I shall enjoy it, exclaimed Meg, coming home one warm day to find Joe laid upon the sofa in an unusual state of exhaustion, while Beth took off her dusty boots and Amy made lemonade for the refreshment of the whole party. Aunt March went today, for which, oh be joyful, said Joe. I was mortally afraid she would ask me to go with her. If she had, I should have felt as if I ought to do it, but Plumfield is about as happy as a churchyard, and I'd rather be excused. We had a flurry getting the old lady off, and I had a fright every time she spoke to me, for I was in such a hurry to be through that I was uncommonly helpful and sweet, and feared she'd find it impossible to part from me. I quaked till she was fairly in the carriage, and had a final fright, for as it drove off, she popped out her head, saying, "Josephine, won't you?" I didn't hear any more, for I basically turned and fled. I did actually run, and whisked around the corner where I felt safe. Poor old Joe. She came in looking as if bears were after her, said Beth, as she cuddled her sister's feet with a motherly air. Aunt March is a regular samphire, isn't she? Observed Amy, tasting her mixture critically. She means vampire, not seaweed, but it doesn't matter. It's too warm to be particular about one's part of speech, murmured Joe. What shall you do? What shall you do all your vacation? Asked Amy, changing the subject with tact. I shall lie abed late and do nothing, replied Meg from the depths of the rocking chair. I've been routed up early all winter and had to spend my days working for other people. Now I'm going to rest and revel to my heart's content. No, said Joe. That dozy way wouldn't suit me. I've laid in heaps of books, and I'm going to improve my shining hours reading on my perch in the old apple tree when I'm not having. Don't say larks, implored Amy, as a return snub for the samphire correction. I'll say nightingales then, with Laurie. That's proper and appropriate, since he's a warbler. Don't let us do any lessons, Beth, for a while, but play all the time and rest, as the girls mean to, proposed Amy. Well, I will if Mother doesn't mind. I want to learn some new songs, and my children need fitting up for the summer. They are dreadfully out of order and really suffering for clothes. May we, Mother? Asked Meg, turning to Mrs. March, who was sewing in what they called Mommy's Corner. You may try your experiment for a week and see how you like it. I think by Saturday night you will find that all play and no work is as bad as all work and no play. Oh dear, no. It will be delicious, I'm sure, said Meg complacently. I now propose a toast, as my friend and partner, Sari Gamp, says. Fun forever and no grubbing, cried Joe, rising, glass in hand, as the lemonade went around. They all drank it merrily and began the experiments by lounging for the rest of the day. Next morning, Meg did not appear till 10 o'clock. Her solitary breakfast did not taste good, and the room seemed lonely and untidy, for Joe had not filled the vases. Beth had not dusted, and Amy's books lay scattered about. Nothing was neat and pleasant but Mommy's Corner, which looked as usual, and there Meg sat and rested and read, which meant to yawn and imagine what pretty summer dresses she would get with her salary. Joe spent the morning on the river with Laurie, in the afternoon reading and crying over the wild, wild world up in the apple tree. Beth began by rummaging everything out of the big closet where her family resided, but getting tired before half done, she left her establishment topsy-turvy and went to her music, rejoicing that she had no dishes to wash. Amy arranged her bower, put on her best white frock, smoothed her curls, and sat down to draw under the honeysuckle, hoping someone would see and inquire who the young artist was. As no one appeared but an inquisitive Daddy Longlegs, who examined her work with interest, and she went to walk, got caught in a shower, and came home dripping. At tea time, they compared notes and all agreed that it had been a delightful, though unusually long day. Meg, who went shopping in the afternoon and got a sweet blue muslin, had discovered, after she had cut the breadths off, that it wouldn't wash, which misshape made her slightly cross. Jo had burned the skin on her nose boating and got a raging headache by reading too long. Beth was worried about the confusion of her closet and the difficulty of learning 3 or 4 songs at once. And Amy deeply regretted the damage done her frocks, for Katie Brown's party was to be the next day, and now, like Flora McFlinsby, she had nothing to wear. But these were mere trifles, and they assured their mother that the experiment was working finely. She smiled, said nothing, and with Hannah's help, did their neglected work, keeping home pleasant and domestic machinery running smoothly. It was astonishing what a peculiar and uncomfortable state of things was produced by resting and reveling process. The days kept getting longer and longer. The weather was unusually bearable, and so were tempers. An unsettled feeling possessed everyone, and Satan found plenty of mischief for the idle hands to do. As the height of luxury, Meg put out some of her sewing, and then found time so heavily that she fell to snipping and spoiling her clothes in her attempts to furbish them up a la Moffat. Jo read till her eyes gave out, and she was sick of books, got so fidgety that even good-natured Laurie had a quarrel with her, and so reduced in spirits that she desperately wished she had gone with Aunt March. Beth got on pretty well, for she was constantly forgetting that it was to be all play and no work, and fell back into her old ways now and then. But something in the air affected her, and more than once her tranquility was much disturbed, so much so that on one occasion she shook poor dear Joanna and told her she was a fright. Amy fared worst of all, for her resources were small, and when her sisters left her to amuse herself, she soon found that accomplished and important little self a great burden. She didn't like dolls, fairy tales were childish, and one couldn't draw all the time. Tea parties didn't amount to much, neither did picnics, unless very well conducted. If one could have a fine house full of nice girls or go traveling, the summer would be delightful. But to stay at home with 3 selfish sisters and a grown-up boy was enough to try the patience of a Boaz, complained Mrs. Malaprop. After several days devoted to pleasure, fretting, no one would own that they were tired of the experiment, but by Friday night each acknowledged to herself that she was glad the week was nearly done. Hoping to impress the lesson more deeply, Mrs. March, who had a good deal of humor, resolved to finish off the trial in an appropriate manner. So she gave Hannah a holiday and let the girls enjoy the full effect of the play system. When they got up on Saturday morning, there was no fire in the kitchen, no breakfast in the dining room, and no mother anywhere to be seen. "Mercy on us! What has happened?" cried Jo, staring about her in dismay. Meg ran upstairs and soon came back again, looking relieved but rather bewildered and a little ashamed. Mother isn't sick, only very tired, and she says she is going to stay quietly in her room all day and let us do the best we can. It's a very weird thing for her to do. She doesn't act a bit like herself, but she says it has been a hard week for her, so we mustn't grumble, but take care of ourselves. That's easy enough, and I like the idea. I'm aching for something to do. That's it. Some new amusement, added Joe quickly. In fact, it was an immense relief to them all to have a little work, and they took hold with a will, but soon realized the truth of Hannah's saying, housekeeping ain't no joke. There was plenty of food in the larder, and while Beth and Amy set the table, Meg and Joe got breakfast, wondering, as they did, why servants ever talked about hard work. I shall take some up to Mother, though she said we were not to think of her, for she'd take care of herself, said Meg, who presided and felt quite matronly behind the teapot. So a tray was fitted out before anyone began and taken up with the cook's compliments. The boiled tea was very bitter, and the omelet scorched, and the biscuits speckled with, but Mrs. March received her repast with thanks and laughed heartily over it after Joe was gone. Poor little souls, they will have a hard time, I'm afraid, but they won't suffer, and it will do them good, she said, producing the more palatable food which she had provided herself and disposing of the bad breakfast so that their feelings might not be hurt. A motherly little deception for which they were grateful. Many were the compliments below, and great the chagrin of the head cook at her failures. Never mind, I'll get the dinner and be servant. You be mistress. Keep your hands nice, see company, and give orders, said Joe, who knew still less than Meg about culinary affairs. This obliging offer was gladly accepted, and Margaret retired to the parlor, which she hastily put in order by whisking litter under the sofa and shutting the blinds to save the trouble of dusting. Joe, with perfect faith in her own powers and a friendly desire to make up the quarrel, immediately put a note in the office inviting Laurie to dinner. You'd better see what you've got before you think of having company, said Meg, when informed of the hospital but rash act. Oh, there's corned beef and plenty of potatoes, and I shall get some asparagus and a lobster for a relish, as Hannah says. We'll have lettuce and make a salad. I don't know how, but the book tells. I have blancmange and strawberries for dessert, and coffee too, if you want to be elegant. Don't try too many messes, Joe, for you can't make anything but gingerbread and molasses candy fit to eat. I washed my hands of the dinner party, and since you may have asked Laurie on your own responsibility, you may just take care of him. I don't want you to do anything but be civil to him and help with the pudding. You'll give me your advice if I get in a muddle, won't you? asked Joe, rather hurt. Yes, but I don't know much except about bread and a few trifles. You had better ask Mother's leave before you order anything, returned Meg prudently. Of course I shall. I'm not a fool, and Joe went off in a huff at the doubts expressed of her powers. Get what you like, and don't disturb me. I'm going out to dinner, and can't worry about things at home, said Mrs. March when Joe spoke to her. I never enjoyed housekeeping, and I'm going to take a vacation today, and read, write, go visiting, and amuse myself. The unusual spectacle of her busy mother rocking comfortably and reading early in the morning made Joe feel as if some unnatural phenomenon occurred. For an eclipse, an earthquake, or volcanic eruption would hardly have seemed stranger. Everything is out of sorts somehow, she said to herself going downstairs. There's Beth crying. That's a sure sign that something is wrong in this family. If Amy is bothering, I'll shake her." Feeling very much out of sorts herself, Jo hurried into the parlor to find Beth sobbing over Pip, the canary, who lay dead in the cage, with his little claws pathetically extended, as if imploring the food for want of which he had died. "It's all my fault. I forgot him. There isn't a seed or a drop left. Oh, Pip! Oh, Pip!" "How could I be so cruel to you?" cried Beth, taking the poor thing in her hands and trying to restore him. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, share, and comment down below. If you have not done so already, please subscribe and hit that bell notification for future videos.